Okay, so turn to page 2 of lesson 2 and recall back to whatever you do remember from elementary school. What are some different ways that data can be displayed? Try to be specific if you can. Okay, bar graphs. How many did bar graphs in 5th or 4th or 3rd? Okay, great. Other types, raise your hand. Phil? A line graph. How many did line graphs in science this year? Right? What did you guys do your line graph on? Boiling points? Yeah. Salt water versus fresh water? What else? Line plots. Very good. Think about what we did this year in math, how quickly we forget. Odd one, hint, hint. All right, pie charts. Not what I was thinking about in math, but okay. Think about what we've done in math. Ratio tables, or tables in general. Data tables, we call those. Now you got to start thinking.
The line thing, and then you can't just say that.
The line thing, T-chart, box plots.
Oh, there's like one line here, and then it's a line, and there's another line there.
That's a bar graph.
Could be a bar graph, I don't know.
That's a bar graph.
Box plot?
I don't know. I was thinking about a line graph.
I'm not sure.
She's talking about a bar graph.
Number line is good.
That's not that.
She's saying a coordinate.
Oh, the coordinate plane. Yeah, we're going to do that, but let's do the number line first. But you're right, the coordinate plane is definitely...
That was red soda.
Well, it was yeah, the idea, it was a partnership.
And then they have like numbers on them.
Let's see if we can do one more. What do you got? All right, tape diagram, sure. All good. Have you guys heard of a dot plot? All right, you're going to get first experience in lesson 2 for a dot plot. Not difficult, okay? You'll see they'll start you off slow, and then it gets a little bit more advanced. I kind of like the way that this scaffolds. It starts kind of basic, and then it builds from there. Okay, I am not going to read example 1 out loud to you. I want you to read it quietly to yourself, and then I'm going to ask you some questions based on the data that she collected. So read that quietly to yourself. Okay, so in your own words, what did Mia have to do, or what did she want to do? John. All right, but take it a step further. What would besides the fact that she wanted to join the track team? What was her project? What did she want to do?
She wanted to find the average of the heart rate of the class.
Okay, so she wanted to find out a little bit more about the heart rates of the students around her. And how many students, raise your hand, did she survey? Alex? 22, right? And out of all of those data points there, starting with 89 going all the way to 84, do you notice they're in random order, right? They're not ranked at all, are they? No least to greatest. I want you to find the lowest and find the highest, because it's going to kind of help you to construct what's called a dot plot, as you'll see on the next page. What's the lowest?
79.
Except don't call out, because everybody's got their hand raised. Joe.
79.
All right, circle it and put an L for low. And what's the high? Ben. Agreed. Circle that and put an H. Did you learn about range in elementary school? All right, a range means all of these heart rates fall between the range of what and what? Jack? 90 and 72. So it can't be any higher than, sorry, 79. It can't be higher than 90, nothing higher than 90, and nothing lower than 79. Okay, it's called the range, okay? Starts at 79, the low, goes to 90 on the high. One way to display the data is through what's called a dot plot. And it's exactly what the name suggests. If you go to the next page, she has here all of her points, her data points, plotted along this little mini segment of a number line starting at 78, even though there's no data for 78, all the way up to 90. So you're drawing a number line, and your number line has to start with, at the very least, whatever that lowest point is, and goes to the highest point. It can go a little bit further either end if you want, but you certainly don't want to shorten it where there's no place to plot your points. How many dots should there be altogether if I counted the dots? Marcus.
23.
No,
Counting
no,
her.
because it's 22.
Is it 22 or 23?
23.
23.
Including her, right?
It's 22, I counted.
She is not on this right as of yet. As you'll see, they're going to ask you to add it, but there are 22 dot points. If you count them, let's just say there's 1, 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11, plus 3, 14, plus 3, 18, 19, 20, 21, there's 22. Okay? Okay, let's do this first set together. What was the heart rate for the student with the lowest heart rate? Now it's just a matter of reading the data. Zode.
79 BPM.
And we could leave the labels off if you want, but he's right, beats per minute. Viv, what's the highest? Great. Now you got to do a little bit of math. How many students had a heart rate greater than 86? Not including 86. Remember, it's greater than but not equal to, because that we covered inequalities. Yeah, it is an open circle. Faz. I'm counting 5. You counting 5? 5. Take it a step further. What fraction of the students had a heart rate less than 82? Well, let me ask you this first. How many students had a heart rate less than 82? Everybody see it's 2? Out of?
22.
Who can express that as a fraction in simplest form? Viv. 1/11th, right? Because it's 2 out of 22, which reduces to 1/11th. What's the most common heart rate? Joe. I agree. 83. Right there. Now I got a question for you if you're really paying attention. The first 5 questions that we just answered. Statistical questions or not? How many say not? How many say yes? Now you're getting it, because it can only be one possible answer. Okay? For 4, it's still the same thing. Okay? Next question. First 5 questions, categorical data or numeric data? Kurt, numeric. As you'll see when we get to number 6, the answers they may start to vary a little bit. What heart rate describes and they put in quotes, the center of the data? And right now, I haven't really defined what we mean by the center of the data, because we're going to do that empirically, mathematically down the road. But you want to kind of get a feel for where are the data points lying, most of them. How many say 83? How many say 84, 85, 86 in that area? So do we agree it's kind of, here's kind of like towards the middle. What's that range? Starts at and goes to, okay. No longer is this question considered a non-statistical question because the answers can vary. If I gave it to you on a quiz, if you told me 83, I'd give you credit. If you told me 84, I'd give you credit. 85, 86. All of them are considered the center of the data. So it's in that range somewhere. And that's what dot plots allow you to do. You can see visually where that center is. You can see visually already what's the low, what's the high. That's kind of that's the reason why we take data and we express it in these types of displays, because it's just easier to see. What about heart rates that are the most unusual? What do you think? Ben, what do you think? The word unusual, what does that mean? Uncommon. How's that? Ben, what do you think? Or again, it's a statistical question because the answers can vary. You could. Nobody had a 78. But then nobody had a 77 either, even though it's not on there. And nobody had a 12. But we want to stick with, in this case, the data that was recorded. So we only had one for 79, 81, 87, 89, and 90. So any one of those answers is correct. So the answers can vary again. What else? 87 and 89, right? All good answers. What about the typical heart rate for 6th grade students? Is that a statistical question, yes or no?
Yes.
Well, how many think typical automatically means 83? How many think it could be 83, 84, 85, or 86? It's kind of like that question that asks what's the center of the data. So technically it is a statistical question because it can vary. 83 to 86 all would be viable answers. Okay? Again, you want to get a feel that typical kind of means the center of the data. All right. Now, on the next page, they want you to add the dot for Mia's heart rate, which is what?
80.
Add it in. And then they'll ask you the follow-up question, relative to everybody else's. How does Mia's heart rate compare with the heart rates of the other students in the class? What do you say, Luke? Tends to be on the low end, right? Everybody see it's kind of towards the low end? So if we want to articulate that a little bit more, not only is her heart rate on the low end, we can also say, well, let me finish this up first. How many of her classmates have a heart rate lower than her? How many are lower than her? Only one. But Jack is right in that 21 are higher. which we can add to answer that question completely. Read example 2, and then I'm going to ask you a question that's not on the sheet. Okay? Read example 2 from top to bottom, including looking at the dot plot chart. And then I'm going to ask you a question that's not on the sheet. You ready? Almost ready? Those of you that are ready. Combining lesson 1 with 2. Which dot plot has greater variability? The heart rate one or textbook one? Which dot plot has greater variability? Heart rates or textbooks? Cody.
Heart rate.
Why do you say heart rate?
It's more spread out, and there's less for each.
You said something right there that hit the nail on the head. What 2 words did you say that really defines what variability is?
More spread out.
Correct. Okay? More spread out means more variability. It goes as low as 77 to as high as 90. Okay? And a lot of different possibilities along the way. You take a look at textbooks, it's going to be in that 5 to 8 range. It's a lot more condensed, narrow, tighter, less spread out, more dense. All words that describe less variability. Okay? You go get a candy for that one. All right, very good. And he articulated it well, which is great. All right, what about this one? Take a look at this. How tall are the 6th graders in our class? Is this more variable or less variable than textbooks? Or about the same? Here's textbooks again. 5 to 8.
More variable.
How many think that this is more variable than the textbook one? A little bit closer though, isn't it? All right, a little bit closer, but I agree. All right, let's do the last exercises together, and then I'll tell you what you guys will be doing for the rest of the class. Flip to the next page. So what you have to do is they give you 4 different dot plot choices. Let me go to full screen. We have 4 different dot plots that's going to match up with 11, 12, 13, and 14. You have to match the dot plot with the statistical question being asked. What are the ages of 4th graders in our school? Which dot plot matches up with that? A little tough in full screen on the screen to see these numbers, but on your sheet you should be able to see it. Colin, what do you think, bud? How many say dot plot A? Yeah, it's only going to be 9 or 10, right? So A. Heights of players on the 8th grade boys basketball team. Jack Troyce. I agree. D. I'll tell you, the next 2 are a little tricky. Hours that 6th graders in class watch TV on a school night. What do you think? On a school night. Kurt, what do you think? How many say C?
Actually, no, B, because no kids do speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tricky there. Is it possible? Is it possible that but look, if you look at dot plot B, and the reason why it is B is because the center of the data is in which range? Most of the students are between what? 1-0 to about 4-0, maybe even you could say 1 to 2 hours. It's in this area. Okay? Is it possible for one student in that class, as soon as he gets home, watch TV from 3 to 11? I guess. But one thing you'll see is that it's very, very, I would say, the reason why this has to be B is because when we talk about different languages, exactly. That's the other thing too is that there's no 0 languages for dot plot B, so this has got to be C. And you got to remember too, these dot plots, you have to think about where you live too. We are not that diverse, guys. Many school districts are more diverse than we are. You go into inner city, there's Hispanic, there's Arabic, there's English. There are a lot of different cultures in New York and other school districts, so where this is a lot more possible, okay? Maybe not in Smithtown, but for most of the country, a lot of the districts are a lot more diverse than we are, okay? All right, so you can definitely finish up 2, and then you can go to your homework, or you can do your cum. The rest is all you.